Hello, dear friends. Welcome to Being an Everyday Hero, Episode 6. Go back to the beginning. My name is Brett Culp. There are times when you have to put the past aside, when you just have to walk away from it and ignore it and move ahead. But there are also times when your memories, the things you've experienced in your life, and the things you've learned about yourself along the way can really give you fuel, not just for the present moment, but as you look into the future and make decisions about who you want to be and the kind of life you want to build and how to proceed with the mission that you're on today. I want to talk about that, how the past can help us understand ourselves and also learn how to move forward. This podcast, Being an Everyday Hero, is for people who see everything they do as an opportunity to make a positive difference and bring more light into the world. If that's you, I think you're going to enjoy what we talk about today, and I hope that it helps you make a difference and give back in each part of your life. So welcome. So a few weeks ago, I saw the Monkees in concert. I don't know if you like the Monkees, but when I was a kid, I absolutely loved them. My cousin Matt and I, when we were like, 8, 9, 10 years old, we started watching the Monkees TV show in reruns, and we just fell in love with the music and the comedy and the style and the characters, and I just wanted to be these guys. I loved them, and I laughed, and we had so many running jokes. My cousin Matt and I, we could probably talk for 30 minutes just in quotes from that television show and lyrics from the songs. And it was something about it that really connected with us as kids. And I think it was because that show expressed, and even the music too, the energy and excitement of being young, of finding yourself, of adventuring, of having an adventurous spirit that wasn't afraid and that was very open and connecting, and there was a lot of friendship and camaraderie and just fun and excitement and energy in it that was very attractive to us. And so we loved it. When I first got my dad's video camera, some of the first movies we made when I was a kid with me and Matt and some of our other friends were little recreations of Monkees episodes, and we even played little concerts where we sang our favorite songs of theirs. It was just a really cool time in our life. So a few weeks ago, when I went to this concert, I went with my cousin Matt and my wife and his wife, and we walked in, and this was Davy Jones has passed away, and Mike Nesmith's not part of the group right now. And so it was Mickey Dolenz and Peter Tork, and they were up on stage, and they came out, and they played so many great songs that night. And as they played, they had a huge video screen in the backdrop, and they were playing scenes from the television show, and they were playing like behind the scenes stuff and images and photos and all kinds of great stuff that triggered in me this like flashback. I mean, I was standing up, I was singing and clapping and laughing and watching all of this unfold in front of me, and I had this unique experience. I don't know if you've ever had this before, where I really in my heart thought I felt like I knew in my heart that I was feeling a memory. I was experiencing something, feeling about it the exact same way I had when I was a child. It's like I was flashing back to an emotional experience and living it again. And there was something so empowering about that. There was something about that gave me so much energy and joy and life. I walked out of that concert that night, and it was so funny because we walked out of the concert and found that we had a flat tire and it was raining, and I literally went through 24 straight hours after that were just crazy trying to get this car repaired and get it towed late at night, and we couldn't get the bolt off because I didn't have some kind of bolt lock that the tire needed, and I went through all of this drama. But I was really very centered about all of that because there was something about that concert and that experience and what it harkened back to for me that was really focused and clear, but still free to be who I was and pursue what I wanted to do. And there was so much emotional energy in reconnecting to that vigor and excitement of youth and my childhood. I think it's so important for us to, each one of us, to have times in our life where we stop and reconnect with our truest, deepest, realest identity. Everything we do in our behavior and the ways that we act and the ways we respond are ultimately driven by our identity, by our sense of self, by the way we see ourselves. And our behavior is always consistent with who we believe ourselves to be, because the way we define ourselves and the kind of people we are determines our behavior. I think that's why forever identity has been so important to us as human beings, really understanding ourselves. And it doesn't just start like today in modern history. This goes back for a long, long time, where people would identify themselves by what went before, by who their father was, by who their great-grandfather was, back and back and back and back. People would identify themselves through their lineage, through their past, through their history. And they knew in their bones that was just a big part of who they were in this present moment. Now, I've never been a person that connected that strongly with that. You may be a person that really, a lot of your centeredness comes from your family history. It's not been that much for me, but I can definitely speak to, and this experience reaffirmed for me, how important my own personal history is to understanding myself, and why it's so important for me to go back to it to get the energy that I need for today, and also the centeredness that I need to make good decisions about where I want to go in the future. And I think what came up in me, I was having in that concert such an inspiring experience. I was taken back to something that had inspired me in my childhood, something that motivated me, and that gave me energy to create and to perform and to do things, to give things and create and share things in the world. That's what I felt like when I was a kid, listening to that music and watching that TV show. It inspired me to create and to share. And so when I walked out of that concert, I felt that feeling again. I felt the desire to create and share and communicate and be open and put myself out into the world in unique ways. And that was the energy that it gave me. And so I think when I think about like projects in my life, when I start to kind of lose my way on a project, it starts to become hard and difficult, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why am I doing this? What is this? Why am I spending so much time and energy on this? I find that the trick is to go back to the beginning of it, to go back to that initial start, that desire in me that sparked me to do this. What was it that sparked you to begin this educational experience you're on, or this career path you're on? Or what sparked you to begin this relationship you're in the middle of that doesn't seem to be going so well? What was the initial motivation to begin this project or this creative task that you have given yourself to? The more you can connect to that memory, the more you find that you have energy to keep moving ahead, because you're connecting to why you began and what your purpose is, and remembering the times in your life when you felt inspired and what it was that inspired you. And I found that to be powerful for me when I kind of lose my way, to reconnect to the beginning of not only this thread of this project, but my whole work and my perspective on it and what I'm wanting to do with it. And you can dive even deeper into that. If you're having trouble with even the present moment or the recent past, going way, way back can be powerful too, to reinvigorate your purpose. You know, thinking about what you wanted to be, like what you wanted your job or your profession to be as a child, can be really powerful. You know, maybe you wanted to be an astronaut. Well, today you may be at a point where you're like, well, now I don't want to be an astronaut anymore, and that's totally fine. But the question underneath that is, well, why did you want to be an astronaut? What was it about being an astronaut that was exciting to you? Was it being an adventurer out doing new things, exploring new dimensions of the human experience? Was it that you were into science and there was something about the process and the complexity of that? Was it that you wanted to break new ground and do something fresh and go places that very few people had gone? When you can dive into why that mattered to you so much when you were young, you get a better understanding of what it is that motivates you and how to then bring that into the present moment. I have a friend, we were having a conversation about this, and she was reminded that as a child she wanted to be a crossing guard, that she'd seen a crossing guard when she was going to go into school every day that she had a relationship with, and there was something about that really invigorated her. Well, realizing it now, she doesn't want to change her career and go be a crossing guard, but she does realize that so much of her heart is in helping and protecting people and helping them through their path and being someone that keeps them safe and is a caretaker for them in their journey. And when she looked at the career she was in today, she realized how much of that was in her current career. But thinking about the past and that dream of being a crossing guard helped her more deeply connect with her current profession and remember why she loved it so much and why it mattered to her and why it was important and why it was special. And so you can do that too. You can just stop for a minute, even right now, and say, okay, what was it that I wanted to be when I was a little kid, or when I was 10 years old, or 15 years old, or 18 years old, or 20 years old? What was it that I wanted to be? And maybe you look back today and say, well, yeah, now I don't want to exactly be that, but by reconnecting to what was driving that passion at the time, you often can find new energy for the project that you're working on now that maybe you've lost a little steam on, or maybe you've gotten a little confused about. And it also can help you kind of find your way as you're making decisions for the future, because what you're doing is you are connecting to those things, those spaces and places where you felt very alive, where you felt most energetic and most passionate. So now when you're making decisions about, okay, well, where do I want to go next? What do we want to pursue here? For you, it's about finding the place of passion and excitement. And I said in a previous episode this idea that I love so much about that the perfect place for you, the nexus for you in your life, is that intersection of what you are passionate about and what you love and what you're excited about, and where that meets what the world really needs. When you can connect to that space, you find the exact place that you're supposed to live your life, because now not only are you living a fullness of life and you are experiencing and extending your passion into the world, but you're also helping others. You're also making the world a better place in the process. And I think that's the space we all want to live in. We all desire deep inside of us to live in that space. And we know there is the most fulfillment there. But getting to that space is about understanding who you are and what excites you, because you could spend your life doing something that really helps the world. But if it's not a real extension of who you are, it's constantly going to feel like work and heaviness. And you're going to easily burn out. You're easily going to lose your passion. It is always going to feel heavy and hard on some level. And so that's part of the trick is getting to that space. There's a word that we use a lot, the word rejoice. Actually, we don't use it a lot. It's a word that was used more in the past, but it is a beautiful word, the idea of rejoicing. And the root of that word is returning to the source of joy, going to the place where joy is, connecting to that. Sometimes we lose our way in that. We either because of decisions we've made or circumstances around us that acted on our lives. And so how you got to this space you are today where you feel disconnected from joy, that's not as important as what step you want to take today to reconnect to it, to return to the source of joy, to rejoice in today, in this moment. And that answering that question is I think it's an important step as you figure out where you want to venture forth. So, bringing this full circle with the idea of making an impact in the world, to bring life and energy into the world, you have to have life and energy within yourself. You can't give away something that you don't have. Sometimes to make an impact, you have to stop for a minute and take care of yourself, to reconnect with yourself, to reconnect with your passion. And sometimes that takes some time to stop for a little bit and rest and think and get quiet and reconnect to you. Reconnect to what's inside of you that is the gift for the world. I know it's hard to take time for that, but this ultimately is an episode not about what you're going to do for other people, but what you need to do for yourself before you do that. So I hope today you'll take some time to stop and think about where you've been, what excited you, where you felt most alive and most celebrated and most inspired, and you will use the energy from that as fuel that will propel you into the future, into all the wonderful things that you have to do ahead that will be expressions of who you are and your beautiful heart and soul to give back to the world. I hope this episode was helpful for you. If it was, I hope you'll share it and that you'll take a minute to like and maybe even leave a review in the place that you found it. Sending you love and big hugs. Have a heroic day.